pemmican is a concentrated mixture of fat and protein used as a nutritious food. The word comes from the Cree word pimî registered trademark car-cent-en, which itself is derived from the word pimî registered trademark, fat, grease. It was invented by the native peoples of North America. It was widely adopted as a high-energy food by Europeans involved in the fur trade and later by Arctic and Antarctic explorers, such as Robert Falcon Scott and Roald Amundsen. The specific ingredients used were usually whatever was available. The meat was often bison, moose, elk, or deer. Fruits such as cranberries and saskatoon berries were sometimes added. Cherries, currants, chokeberries and blueberries were also used, but almost exclusively in ceremonial and wedding pemmican. History: the voyageurs of the Canadian fur trade had no time to live off the land and had to carry their food with them. A north canoe with 6 men and 25 standard 90-pound packs required about 4 packs of food per 500 miles. Montreal-based canoemen could be supplied by sea or with locally grown food. Their main food was dried peas or beans, sea biscuit and salt pork. In the Great Lakes some maize and wild rice could be obtained locally. By the time trade reached the Winnipeg area, the Pemmican Trade was developed. Copyrightists would go southwest onto the prairie in Red River carts, slaughter buffalo, convert it into pemmican and carry it north to trade at the Northwest Company posts. For these people on the edge of the prairie, the Pemmican Trade was as important a source of trade goods as was the beaver trade for the Indians further north. This trade was a major factor in the emergence of a distinct copyrightist society. Packs of pemmican would be shipped north and stored at the major fur posts: Fort Alexander, Cumberland House, La Crosse, Fort Garry, Norway House, and Edmonton House. So important was pemmican that, in 1814, Governor Miles MacDonell nearly started a war with the copyrighters when he passed the short-lived Pemmican Proclamation, which forbade the export of pemmican from the Red River Colony. Alexander Mackenzie relied on pemmican on his 1793 expedition across Canada to the Pacific. North Pole explorer Robert Peary used pemmican on all 3 of his expeditions, from 1886 to 1909, for both his men and his dogs. In his 1917 book Secrets of Polar Travel, he devoted several pages to the food, stating, "Too much cannot be said of the importance of pemmican to a polar expedition. It is an absolute sine qua non. Without it a sledge party cannot compact its supplies within a limit of weight to make a serious polar journey successful." British polar expeditions fed a type of pemmican to their dogs as sledging rations. Called Bovril pemmican, or simply dog pemmican, it was a beef product consisting of 2/3 protein and 1/3 fat, without carbohydrate. It was later ascertained that although the dogs survived on it, this was not a nutritious and healthy diet for them, being too high in protein. Members of Ernest Shackleton's 1914–1916 expedition to the Antarctic resorted to eating dog pemmican when they were stranded on ice for the winter. Traditional preparation. Traditionally, pemmican was prepared from the lean meat of large game such as buffalo, moose, elk or deer. The meat was cut in thin slices and dried over a slow fire, or in the hot sun until it was hard and brittle. About 5 pounds of meat are required to make 1 pound of dried meat suitable for pemmican. Then it was pounded into very small pieces, almost powder-like in consistency, using stones. The pounded meat was mixed with melted fat in an approximate 1-to-1 ratio. In some cases, dried fruits such as saskatoon berries, cranberries, blueberries, or chokeberries were pounded into powder and then added to the meat-fat mixture. The resulting mixture was then packed into rawhide pouches for storage. A bag of buffalo pemmican weighing about 90 pounds was called a toro by the copyrighters of Red River. It generally took the meat of 1 buffalo to fill a toro. Boer War. During the Second Boer War, British troops were given an iron ration made of 4 ounces of pemmican and 4 ounces of chocolate and sugar. The pemmican would keep in perfect condition for decades. It was considered much superior to biltong, a form of cured game meats commonly used in Africa. This iron ration was prepared in 2 small tins which were fastened inside the soldiers' belts. It was the last ration used and it was used only as a last resort when ordered by the commanding officer. A man could march on this for 36 hours before he began to drop from hunger. American adventurer Frederick Russell Burnham, while serving as Chief of Scouts for the British Army in South Africa, required pemmican to be carried by every scout. Modern pemmican producers, U.S. Wellness Meats in Missouri currently sells pemmican in bar and bulk form. Modern protein bars, pemmican-inspired, Tanker Bar, manufactured in Kyle, South Dakota by Native American Natural Foods, an Oglala Lakota business, are made from a combination of buffalo meat and cranberries with an herbal preservative. Epic Bars, manufactured in Austin, Texas, are energy bar flavors made from dried meat, nuts, and dried fruit. Modern food brands named Pemmican, Pemmican Beef Jerky, based in Taylor, Michigan and owned by Marfood USA, Incorporated. High-energy food bars sold under the brand names Mealpack and Bear Valley Pemmican by Intermountain Trading Company Limited in Albany, California. These bars are baked from malted corn and barley. Bear Valley Foods was threatened with a lawsuit over the use of the Pemmican name, by ConAgra. However, they were ultimately allowed to keep the name. References in literature. The children in the literary series Swallows and Amazons frequently refer to corned beef as pemmican as it seems more adventurous to them. It is also mentioned in Alfred Lansing's 1959 book Endurance, Shackleton's Incredible Voyage. In the science fiction story Hiero's Journey by Sterling E. Lanier, Hiero, a Metz living thousands of years in the future, has a trail food, pimîhkân, which is a mixture of fat, maple sugar, and dried berries. Harvey Randall, in the book Lucifer's Hammer, makes pemmican in preparation for a cometary impact. The explorer Samuel Hearn writes about his experiences with pemmican in his book A Journey from Prince of Valentia Unregistered trademark Fort in Hudsonia Unregistered trademark S Bay, to the Northern Ocean in the years 1769, 1770, 1771 and 1772. In the book Hearn describes many instances of himself and his North Indian companions relying on pemmican as their only food for extended periods of time during their travels. According to Hearn, the North Indians in his company would, when being in an area with large amounts of game, make a habit of stopping to hunt large amount of game in order to prepare as much pemmican as could be carried. If their stocks of pemmican was already full, the Indians would often still kill as much big game as possible but only take and eat the marrow, bones, fat and tongue while the rest of the animal was left behind. In the adult novel She Who Remembers, Kwani, the main protagonist, is shown how to make pemmican by blending together animal fats, meat, and berries. Dylan Thomas in his 1946 BBC radio piece Holiday Memory refers to a child's ride on a seaside donkey imagined as being alongside atlas-muscled mounties, rifled and pemmicaned. In the novel The Swiss Family Robinson, the eldest son, Fritz, made pemmican out of bear meat. In several of the novels in the Voyages Extraordinaires series by Jules Verne, pemmican is used by the characters as a foodstuff during their voyage. In Tess Garman and Tegan Gavitt's graphic novel series, Nordgard, pemmican is featured. In many of Louis Lamar's Western novels, pemmican is eaten as a staple of trail travel. In Ken Kesey's novel Sometimes a Great Notion, the narrator Leland describes his brother Hank's girlfriend as Hank's pale wildwood flower. I decided. Barefooty and fattened out round and comfortable on huckleberry and pemmican. In the comic series Oompa Pa, the eponymous main character frequently eats pemmican, though his European friends routinely get sick from eating it. See also: Agutak, force meat, list of dried foods, tokusha, references. External links: Meater's Nation in the Pemmican Trade, Experiments in Traditional Pemmican Preparation, How to Make Pemmican.